The signal is weakening, or perhaps it's just changing shape. You're back with Folklore stories. I am the archivist, and the frequency I've stumbled upon is bleeding. In our last transmission, Charles touched the unspooling stone, and the world began to lose its resolution. But the story didn't stop at the cave mouth. It followed him home. We like to think our reality is solid, made of brick, bone, and certainties. But Charles is learning that we are all just code in a much older machine. And someone, or something, just hit delete. Don't look at the shadows behind you. Just look at the screen. Today's transmission: the thing that followed him back. The transition was too fast. One moment, Charles was drowning in a sea of golden memories. The next, he was slamming against the cold, damp floor of the cave. The silence of the cavern should have been a relief, but it felt hollow. Then he heard it. A wet, rhythmic rasping from the fissure behind him. It wasn't the wind. It was the sound of a lung that hadn't breathed air in 1,000 years, finally tasting the cold night. He looked at his hand, hoping the thread was gone, but the golden strand was still there, glowing with a sickly amber light. It pulsed in time with the breathing. It wasn't just a thread anymore. It was a vein. He tried to brush it off, but his fingers passed through it like smoke. He realized the truth. He hadn't just found the loom. He had become part of the tapestry. He scrambled toward the surface, his boots slipping on the slick stone. He burst out into the night air, expecting the safety of the moonlit valley. But the valley had changed. The trees were twisting, their branches elongating into shapes that looked like skeletal fingers. The stars above weren't white anymore. They were a bruised purple, swirling like ink in water. The echo was leaking. He ran toward the nearest village, Steve's place, hoping for a human voice to ground him. But as he reached the outskirts, he stopped. The houses were there, but they were semi-transparent, like ghosts caught in amber. He could see Steve through the walls, frozen in place, a cup of coffee halfway to his lips. Everyone was trapped in a single moment, a fragment of a story that had stopped playing. The breathing returned, louder now. It wasn't behind him anymore. It was all around him. A shadow detached itself from the side of a transparent house. It didn't have a face, only a void where features should be. It reached out, and as its fingers brushed the golden thread trailing from Charles, a scream of 1,000 voices echoed in his mind. The keeper had found its tether. Inside the noise, a voice emerged. It wasn't spoken, but felt. "You have unspooled the silence," it whispered. "Now you must weave the end." Charles realized the keeper wasn't just hunting him. It was using him to erase the world's tapestry. Every step he took, the golden thread pulled more reality out of the world and into the void. He fled to the old library on the hill, an ancient stone building that had stood for centuries. He remembered a story his grandmother told him about the shears of the first word. If he could find the myth within the books, maybe he could find the weapon to cut the thread. But the books were blank. The stories were being eaten as he stood there. The library doors groaned and buckled. The keeper was no longer a shadow. It was becoming solid. It took the form of a giant, multi-limbed weaver, its fingers made of bone and obsidian. It didn't want the books. It wanted the source. It wanted Charles. The room began to shrink as the walls dissolved into the golden web. With nowhere left to run, Charles grabbed the golden thread with both hands. He didn't try to break it, he tried to pull back. He began to chant the only story he knew by heart, his own. He spoke of his mother, his home, the smell of rain on hot pavement. He poured his own reality into the thread, fighting the keeper for control of the narrative. The ground gave way. Charles and the keeper didn't fall down, they fell out of the library, out of the village, and into the raw, unformed space beneath the world. As they tumbled through the darkness, Charles saw the loom itself, a machine of stars and bone, and at the center of the loom sat the weaver, and she was waiting for him. "Welcome home, Charles. We've been waiting for a new ending." Charles is no longer a spectator. He is the ink, and the weaver is holding the pen. As he falls through the cracks of the world, away from the glass village and into the raw light of the loom, we have to ask ourselves, if the story of our world is being rewritten, who among us will be edited out? Charles has reached the center. He is face to face with the origin. But the weaver isn't looking for a hero. She's looking for a conclusion. The signal is fading. We must follow him into the void one last time. Join me again on this channel for the final transmission, the revelation. Until then, keep your eyes in the gaps. Thank you for listening. This channel needs your help to grow. If you connected to this story, please like and share it. It lets the algorithm know the old stories are still relevant. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you are notified when the next episode drops. I am the Archivist. See you later.